That depends on if there's AC or not. Right now there's not. Yeah, that might be better. Let's do like you get a latte all the time. There's only one of us right now. Sure. Hey there. Oh, good.
Yeah, we've got several decades.
You like this? I was like, this needs to be higher, and the first thing I found was keys.
We need like a bunch
This is like the 60s thing, and 80s parts, and then, yeah.
Here's a,
Right.
I found it.
Yeah.
Can you say it on?
Right. It's either this or a box.
Nice, this is good.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's good. We're doing good. We're ready to roll. Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay, okay. Okay, are we all ready to get started? I was getting the live stream all going. Look how much technology we have here. Jason was giving me a hard time because I've got like the 1970s, the 1960s, and then 2020 or whatever. So who knows? If you can't hear me on the live stream, please let me know. You can comment. Also, we are getting a brand new AV system for the auditorium. It's just not installed yet, so this microphone just goes straight to my live stream right now. So if you can't hear me, you might want to move forward a little bit, and we'll go from there. Let me just check the stream real fast. Okay, cool. All right, so welcome to the 2021 Shawnee Mission East Band season. I'm really excited to get going again, and hopefully, you know, things will get back to normal and we'll kind of transition into a great band year. So just a few introductions for those of you who I haven't met. I'm Alex Tepfer. I'm the director of bands here. I lead all the band program. I do the marching band, of course, with my assistant director and percussion instructor. And then I do the music theory, 2 jazz bands, and symphonic band and concert band in the spring. This is the first year in 7 years that I will be at East all day long. So no traveling. Yeah. cross your fingers in case something weird happens and they shoot me off somewhere else. But the assistant director job, and I'll get to that in a second, will cover a little bit more. We also added a little bit of staff, so I can focus on just being at East and making the band program as good as possible. So that now we're on par with what a lot of other band programs in the area do. So that's very, very exciting. Next up, you see on the handout, Assistant Director TBA, and I'll give you an update about that as well here in just a second. But I would like to bring up Anna Teeley, Mrs. Teeley. She's going to be teaching percussion and full-time teacher at East as well. And so we'll introduce her.
Well, hello. It's good to finally see faces and full faces. Some of you who I saw at the Drumline Clinic or at Drumline auditions, it was just the upper half of your face. So really, really glad to be here. Like Mr. Tepfer said, my name is Anna Teeley. It's pronounced like tea leaf, but without the F. I've heard that helps people. I'm actually from the area. I graduated from the Orange and Black School, so Shawnee Mission Northwest. Under Miss Sneed there as my director. So kind of been doing it, the drumline, the percussion thing in the area for quite a while. In my undergrad, I actually veered away from music and ended up majoring in Spanish, and I'm currently a full-time Spanish teacher. This will be my first year at Shawnee Mission East teaching Spanish 1 and 2. So those of you who are looking to enroll in Spanish, maybe I'll see you on my rosters there. And I'm really lucky that I get to kind of fill in the rest of my day and the rest of my schedule with working with the band and drumline. This is my 8th year teaching. Previous to that, I was at St. James Academy over in Lenexa for 6 years teaching Spanish and serving as their assistant director and percussion instructor. So very, very glad to be here and look forward to meeting you throughout the year.
So Anna has been a huge help already. She's been up here several times. We were both up here today working in the non-air conditioning in the band room, but she's pulling everything out, organizing the auxiliary percussion, getting the marching percussion ready to go. So it's a huge thing to be able to have a percussion instructor. And that also, just a little bit about in the background, we have previously had to hire percussion instructors, which takes money out of the band booster budget to bring in other instructors. Now that money's coming from the district, which gives us an opportunity to spend that money in other places, which is huge, as some of my veterans can attest to, right? Okay, so now the big update that you're all wondering about probably. Unfortunately, Miss Babcock left for Texas. But it's a really great opportunity for her. She's going to be working at a big school down in Texas. She'll be teaching beginning flute, but she'll also be doing middle school, a little bit of middle school and a little bit of high school. It's a big step up for her in her career. She's got family down there. Her significant other is down there, and so she's really starting to take off and take a next step in her career. So we're really happy for her. Sad to lose her, of course, because she did such a great job with our beginning bands and the virtual remote 8th graders, 7th and 8th graders this year, and then plus all the bands at the high school. We are definitely going to miss her. But despite the late posting, so Texas, Ms. Babcock and I were just talking today. I guess Texas hires a lot later. Their band directors, most of their staff work throughout the entire summer, so they do all their hiring in the middle of the summer, which is why it's different from us. So you can thank Texas for this, but no. But despite the late posting, we had over 25 applicants for her job, which is really big at this late stage. We narrowed it down to 5. We had interviews. I was on the panel. It was myself, Mr. Barickmo, who's our new associate principal, and then Mr. Thomas, who is our district fine arts coordinator. We narrowed that down to 3, and then we've been talking. We've narrowed it down to 1 candidate. We also have a new principal here, Mr. Pearies. He and Bill Thomas and Mr. Barickmo and the administrative say, look, this is your call. It's your band program. We want to support you, so that's a really nice thing. So we do have somebody narrowed down to and have offered and they've accepted, but I can't say it yet because HR, all of that stuff. So we've made the recommendation to hire. That's up at HR. That's been going on back and forth. They're trying to get out of their current contract at their current school district, and which is a nearby school district. But I'll tell you a little bit about them, and maybe you can play a guessing game or something. They have about 10 years of experience teaching. So I'm 37. They're probably 35, 34 or so, something like that, about the same age as me. A brass player, a brass specialist, trumpet is their experience. Great with kids, experience at all levels from beginning band to advanced marching band and jazz band. They started their career at Bueller, which is a really good high school band program in the state of Kansas, and then they moved to this area, and they've been teaching middle school band in the area at a neighboring district. And then hopefully we'll be here. So that's all I can say. I know that's a big tease, and I'm sorry. I wish I could say more, but you never know who's watching, especially when the internet's there, right there. So, but we also had several other candidates. There were probably 10 people that we could have picked from who would have been good candidates. So what I was looking for was somebody who's an experienced teacher, a good musician, somebody who's going to be good with the younger students, with our beginning band members, who can be a liaison between the elementary school, the middle school, the high school, someone who can help with all of the big stuff and also contribute to all the things that I do as well. So I'm confident that we've made the right choice, and hopefully everything works out with contracts and all of those things. It has to be approved by their Board of Education, then our Board of Education, and all that stuff. So those of you who are into contracts and stuff like that, you know how that stuff goes. So I appreciate your patience with that, but we have a good staff signed up. We've got Mrs. Teely here for band camp, which is what we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. We have a lot of great staff. We have, now that I've been here a few years, I have a lot of graduates who are now in college marching bands. We've got kids from KU, University of Arkansas, the University of Iowa, K-State, and music education majors, or just really good band players, and they're going to come back and teach us, or help us teach the band program. So that'll be really cool for band camp and all of that stuff. So this is where I normally introduce our drum majors and some of our student leaders. It just so happened that, with this last year being COVID and everything, our drum major camp got changed 3 different times. They had one at Ball State that we usually go to in Indiana that got canceled. Then there was one down in Arkansas that got canceled. And finally, we found a really good one at K-State. And so they are on their way back from K-State right now, the 3 drum majors, Abby Goodman, Sam Fritz, and Brianna Ledbetter. Oh, and I have my phone over there. It's a hot spot I had to connect because the internet's down. But Mason Goodman, our booster president, who's Abby's dad, just texted me and said that our drum majors won the most tight-knit team award at the K-State drum major camp. So give them a hand. So they are already working. They've been working these last 3 or 4 days, and they are very excited to bring back what they have. Let's see. Another thing about, just the summer being as crazy as it's been, a lot of people, they couldn't travel, so they've been seeing family. They've been having to take vacations late, so I know we're missing several people. I appreciate all the section leaders and student leaders that have been here tonight. So can I have any of the student leaders that are here today, section leaders, come down and stand up in front, and I'll introduce you guys. Come on up. Yeah, you can come up. Sure. Stand in front. We can get you on. Stand like maybe here. That way the camera can pick you up a little bit.
Sweet. So
All right.
Can you just go down the line?
Why don't you? Yeah, just start there. Step up to the mic so they can see you at home, and say your name loudly and what you do.
Well, I'm Andrew Kim. I play all the low brass instruments, and I'm gonna be a senior. And yeah, that's about it. I specialize in the baritone.
I'm Anna Wurst. I'll be a clarinet section leader, and I'll be a junior.
I'm Wyatt Oligmiller. I'll be a junior this year, and I play the flute.
I'm Jack Phillips. I'll be a senior, and I play the alto sax.
I'm Lily Rogers. I play the trumpet, and I'll be a senior.
And we have several other section leaders who couldn't be here tonight or have other obligations. And so what we're going to do at the end here is we'll have some time for you to mingle. If you are a student, a freshman, or a new person, and you heard the word trumpet, low brass, baritone, clarinet, flute, or saxophone, these are your section leaders. And you can come, they'll introduce themselves to you, or you come say hi to them. We can kind of mingle and meet some people, and we'll go from there. Thank you, guys. Okay, like I said, Mason Goodman is our band booster president. He is currently driving the marching or the drum majors back from K-State right now, so he's not able to be here. Anna Turlau is our vice president, and she'll be our president next year. She's also on the road and couldn't be here, but I think she's online and is waving right now. So everybody wave to Anna. It's awkward. But in attendance tonight, we have Crystal Harris. She's our secretary. Where's Crystal? There she is right there in the blue. Dalton. And then we have, Kat Norris, Kat Wood Norris. She is our treasurer right there. So say hello to them. We'll talk a little bit after a bit about money and fees and all of that stuff, and there's some good people to talk to if you have questions. And of course, be looking through the sheet. We'll go through it, and we'll talk about questions at the end as well. Okay. Next on my list, I have communication. As you've seen, I sent out some emails this week. If you have not received an email from me this week, I'd like you to communicate that with me. You can come up afterwards, and I'll get an email down from you what you'd like to update. I also have a Google form that I have sent out as well. I'd like you to take a look at that, put in the email that you've done. If you've done that in the last year or so, then you don't need to do that. But if you have, if I sent it to your work email and you'd rather have it on your personal email, whatever was on Skyward, I put into my list. And I'm going to be sending it out from Outlook this year, which is like my work email. Before I did it with Skyward last year, and if you're in multiple classes, sometimes you get multiple emails, and I know that's annoying. It's annoying for me because I get 15 that bounce back every time I send an email. So we're trying to kind of streamline that process as well. Let's see. The big information this year, would be to, I always tell students and parents, where do you find information? Where do you need to go to find information? SMELancerbands.com. We try really hard to keep that updated. That's going to be the biggest source of information, where you can find the calendar. You can find any documents. You can pay your band fees online there. You can see the weekly announcements that I send out. Every Sunday I send out what's going on in the next week or so. And so please be checking that. That's a big thing. Another new thing, if you want to switch to the back a little bit, I have a couple QR codes. On the bottom left, we have a QR code that you can scan right now and download the band app. We used that a couple years ago in 2019. We didn't really use it in 2020 for obvious reasons, just because we didn't have as much going on, but I want to get the band app going again. And what that is it's an app that pulls in our band calendar. It pulls in any documents that I push out, announcements, all of that stuff will come straight to your phone. If you're having problems like I do, I get 150 emails every day that I have to sift through. But if I want to go to the band app, I can just check that one place. So that would hopefully streamline some communication for you all. And then also, thanks to the band boosters, we now have Venmo. So if you are wanting to pay your band fees, or even when we get concessions going, hopefully we can get all those logistics worked out. You can pay anything that you need to pay for, whether it's a T-shirt or band fees, or a hot dog at concessions. You can just go at SME Band Boosters at Venmo, which is a pretty cool thing. Let's see. Okay, now let's talk about the ensembles and band camp, and specifically how that relates. Now, this is going to be pretty marching heavy right now. I know there are some students in here who are doing just jazz band, if you're like piano or guitar or something like that, and I'll talk about some of that as well. But of course, the big thing looming now is band camp, which starts next week already. So I'd like you to take a look at the important information on the handout. The registration and uniform fittings, that's going to happen during our main marching camp, July 27th, 28th, 29th. You can see the fee or the breakdown there. At those nights, on those nights, you can pay fees if you don't have Venmo or PayPal. We'll also be getting students fitted for their marching band uniforms, which takes a little bit of time, but we have some nice volunteers. If you are interested in helping with that process, I've already met a couple people who want to help with the uniform process. Tracy Haynes is great at what she does. She's our main uniform volunteer. But if you want to volunteer for uniform fittings on those evenings, there's the information. You can email smebandboosters@gmail. If you look on the right, the marching camp schedule, we have percussion camp starts on the 19th on Monday with Mrs. Teeley and Mr. Music. Not really, that's not a joke. His name is Music, M-U-S-I-C-K. He's going to be helping her. So we have a couple percussion instructors doing battery and front ensemble. They've been rewriting parts and making them exciting and custom made for our percussionists. So that'll be really neat. The 19th through the 23rd, 8 a.m. to noon. And then we have a leadership camp for our drum majors and section leaders in that same week, the 19th and 20th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll be getting music together, talking about leadership things, learning how to teach the marching music and drill and fundamentals to their section mates, and just kind of getting a unified philosophy for how we're going to approach the year. We set goals. We talk about what we want to change, what we want to improve upon, what we did well, what we didn't do well from the previous year or years. That's a really important camp. Freshmen and new marchers and section leaders. That will be July 21st through 23rd, 8 a.m. to noon. We do like all freshmen to go to this, even if you're not going to be in the marching band. We also have, we have the beginning jazz band. We also have what we call cadet band, which is our freshman band. It's a non-marching band. It's kind of like you had it in Indian Hills. It's a mixed instrumentation. It's a smaller group. But we like everybody to come to that if you can, because we teach you fundamentals. You get to meet the other people in your class. You get to meet the section leaders. And if there is a chance that you want to switch to marching band, we can get you going that way. Or vice versa. If you're in marching band and you start doing it a few days and you're like, oh, God, this is not for me, maybe we can take a look at the other ensemble. Okay? Let's see. Then our main marching band camp, July 26th through 30th, 8 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. and 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. We have a pretty big lunch break, and we do that on purpose. The first day, we have a lunch break. The lunch is provided by the band boosters. They're going to be buying everybody pizza and sides and everything like that, and we're going to try to do all of our activities outside as much as possible this year, especially eating. But that will give a good chance for all the students to get to know each other, get to hang, get to bond. One of the greatest things about band camp is that, especially freshmen and new members, when you go into band, you'll have 100 new friends at the very, very first day of school. You'll have, a section leader. Oh, hey, you're my section leader, and hopefully they'll come by and say hi to you, when you're at the lunch table or something, So you have people who you can immediately bond with, and it's a really good opportunity. So we like to do that. The Monday we do a big lunch with everybody, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday we have the students go out to lunch, or they have a picnic, or they do some kind of planning that way. Now, the freshman parents or non-driving parents or parents of non-driving students will send out a permission form that says whether you can or cannot, your student can or cannot go with upperclassmen and all of that, because we want to make sure that your student is not just getting in a car with a random person and going to, wherever. So we want to make sure that all of those bases are covered as well. So that marching band camp happens that day. So a little bit more that happens at band camp. We learn, of course, all the marching fundamentals, how we step, how we move. We learn the show music. And then we're going to be putting some choreography together, the moving parts out on the football field. And then Friday night of band camp at 6 p.m. on the 30th, we're going to have an exhibition, and we're going to play for you some of the things we've learned. So we'll play probably the first movement of the show for you, some of our pep band stuff, some of our pregame stuff, everything that we learn during those long, hot hours during camp we'll perform for you. Okay. Okay, you can see underneath band camp lunches, I just kind of breezed through that, but I will have supervision at SME available as well if students are non-drivers or you know, the sections just want to have like a picnic out on the little lawn out there or in the shade outside the band room or something like that. There will be adults around and all of that stuff. Let's see, you can read that stuff. Band camp attire and equipment. Make sure you dress for heat. I haven't looked too much ahead of time at the heat. Has anybody seen what it's going to be like? Hot. I assume it's July in Kansas City, so it's going to be hot and it's going to be humid. So please start now if you are students. You know, go out and take a walk. Spend some more time outside. Start getting acclimated to the heat. If you've been sitting at home playing video games all summer, the first day of marching band camp is going to be difficult for you, all right, because we will be out on the field and we'll take water breaks every 30 minutes. We have shade tents, we have ice, we have all of that stuff if there is heat exhaustion, which we take very seriously, but make sure that you do a little bit of time ahead of time and go run around the block in the morning when it's really humid or something like that. What's that? In the 80s? Well, that's good. So we have had some really good weather in the past. Sometimes the marching band gods smile upon us, and we've had 75 degrees and sunny. That's happened once since I've been here. The rest of the time it's been hot. So just please prepare for that. You know how to prepare for hot weather. But also make sure that you are wearing appropriate footwear all the time. Athletic shoes, please no chacos, no hiking sandals, things like that where you have the chance of being stepped on by somebody. I love chacos. I used to have a pair for a long time, but they are not, you know, they have no defense if you're getting stepped on by a 200-pound sousaphone player, right, or another big student, right? So that's what we want to avoid is injuries, things like that. Plus, when you're learning how to roll step and you're learning how to maneuver, you want to have the best footwear available, right? Closed-toe athletic shoes, no sandals, hat, sunscreen, water. Everybody needs to bring their own insulated jugs, you know, something like this or bigger, hopefully. Those big thermal jugs are really good. We also will have water available. We have a big trough that we can turn on, and we also will have individual things too, but it's just good for everybody to have extra water. And please start hydrating ahead of time. Maybe a few days before band camp, start drinking more water, less pop, things like that, because that's another thing that will contribute to, you know, you taking a dive out on the marching field. All right, so be very careful about that. Equipment, instruments, of course. For those of you who play student or school-owned instruments like sousaphones or baritones or bari saxes, we will get those checked out to you as well. Several of you already have those instruments that we tried to do in the spring to get you set up to practice over the summer and all of that stuff. But everybody needs, and I'm sorry I didn't bring one, but I did send a link out in a previous email, a lyre and a flip folder. So that's something that can affix. Let's say I play the flute. There's different types. So if I'm playing the flute, it's something that goes on my forearm and goes up in front. If I'm playing the saxophone, the lyre is a little piece of metal that sticks up and holds the music, and there's a flip folder about that big. You can get them at any store. You can get them at Meyer Music. You can get them at REW or Amazon, of course. You can get all of that stuff. That's how we will primarily be learning music, is on the lyres and flip folders. So please go ahead and get one of those. And then, of course, pencil, reeds, valve oil. Music and drill we have already. And I've sent that out a couple times. The marching show this year is called Picante, and it's Latin American music, kind of pop-oriented Latin American music. There's one that's called La Suerte de los Tontos. It's a Stan Kenton big band arrangement. Another one late in the evening. I always mess that up, but that's a Paul Simon tune. And then an original called Estancia. So we've done some sight reading on that music already. If you don't have that, there's a Google Drive link that I have sent out, and I can send that as well. That way you can download it. We also have all the drill coordinates and choreography that's already been put into that same folder on Google Drive. That way students can go and watch the show, see their little dot, and you don't have the dots assigned yet, but you can see the formations that we'll be making on the field and how the movements match the music. So that's what we will be working on for that. All right. Let me just kind of go through all of the things on my list, and then we'll talk about questions and all of that at the end. Okay. So registration and fees we've already talked about. If you take a look at the fees portion of your handout on the back side, fees and shirts. So just a little background on fees. Some bands in the area charge next to nothing, $50 maybe, and then they do a bunch of fundraising. Some bands in the area charge $1,500 to $2,000 and do no fundraising. We've taken the approach to kind of do a middle of the road type of thing. So we have found that depending on what ensemble you're in, we have different needs. So the district provides probably about, and I'll be honest with you, about $10,000 for our band budget, which is pretty decent, right? We also have to take a bus to and from football stadiums every weekend that we have a game. We have to take buses and trucks and rental trucks to football stadiums and marching competitions. We have food at marching festivals. We have clinicians that we bring in to help teach students at camp. We have clinicians that we bring in to help us throughout the year. We have a ton of music that we have to buy. That $10,000 goes in a blink of an eye. So what everybody in the world that has a band program has to do is either charge fees or fundraise a lot. And so that's what we have decided to do. So if you are in marching band, that's the biggest cost, so that's the biggest fee. And that's a $200 general fee, and that goes to everything that I just explained. If you are in cadet band or only one semester, like some people with a schedule conflict can only do jazz band one semester or 2 semesters, that's the $100 fee. And that all goes pretty much towards music and some travel because we do some competitions and things like that with marching or concert and jazz bands. Percussion, just because of the nature of the beast, you have an instrument rental charge of $60 and then another $75 charge on top of that. That covers extra clinicians that we have, extra equipment. For those of you who don't know, some cymbals, like a cymbal that you might hit, a pair of cymbals like that we hit out on the field, $900. I mean, those are very, very expensive pieces of equipment. And so we have to help maintain that equipment and purchase new and repair and all of that stuff. So that is why that is a little bit extra. Instrument rental, if you play the sousaphone or the mellophone or the tenor saxophone and you're using one of ours, that's a $60 fee. That's for the entire year. And that's a pretty affordable fee because if you rent one from a store, you're sometimes paying that monthly or bi-monthly. So that's a pretty good fee. And we cover all the repair of all of that stuff too. Marching shoes, the Speedsters, $25. I also don't have on here, but if you, at registration, if you want to look into a used pair, like maybe the seniors graduated and don't want theirs anymore, that happens a lot. We have a ton of marching shoes. Also, if you are an upperclassman and you don't know where your marching shoes are, they're probably in the band room. When COVID happened, Miss Babcock and I had to clean out everybody's lockers, and we had to put everything into individual bags and all of that stuff. And some students just didn't come get theirs, so we have a ton of marching shoes. And so rather than paying for brand new shoes, maybe we can see if we can get you fitted for some slightly used shoes, if you're okay with that. Marching band shirt, that's the SME. Wyatt, can you stand up and do a little turn, please? That's our SME band shirt. Everybody that is a new member, thank you, gets one of those shirts for free. If you're an upperclassman or you want multiple shirts, then that's $5. All right, the band boosters help subsidize that, and that kind of comes from fees as well. So everybody gets one of those. You'll also get a marching band jacket. That's a nice. Nobody's wearing a jacket right now, obviously, but they're nice windbreakers, and we wear those to competitions, festivals, stuff like that, so we can look uniform. You will get one of those as well. We also design a show shirt for each marching show that we do. That's being worked on right now, and we'll have a separate online store for that we'll send out to you at a later date. And, of course, the Venmo. Okay. Another thing, I was just talking with Kat, our treasurer, beforehand. So we just talked about fees. We'll be sending some of that stuff out. We also have a membership and a donation form. The Band Boosters are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and obviously take a lot of donations, and that's how we run our business, is through donations and at will contributions. So if you would like to be a corporate sponsor, or you work for a business that does corporate sponsorships, we have sponsorship levels for certain types, $250, $500, $750, $1,000 and up, different sponsorship levels. So if you're interested, you have a corporation or want to become a sponsor, then please come see us, and we'll send out some of that stuff as well. Kat, anything else you wanted me to say about that? Yeah, correct. Yep. Yeah, everything that you have tonight, the thing you have in the form you have in your hand, the things that I have in my hand, the notes, recaps, I'll send out as well. And then if you want to hear me ramble again, you can go on YouTube and find, I'll send out the link as well for that too. So, make sure I've got everything. Yeah, okay, just a couple more things. Let's talk about COVID protocols. That's been fun the last year, hasn't it? But it's something that we take very seriously, and we know, especially now, I think what we know is that we don't know what's going to happen next, right? It seems like we're trending in the right direction, but then Delta variant starts coming out, and you see the case numbers rising. You hear things that are happening. So right now, the mitigation protocols that we have in place are going to change. The Board of Education has a meeting on Monday, the 26th. So that's the first day of camp. I'm trying to get more clarification now about what that's going to look like. But right now we're following the Johnson County health and environment recommendations, which is, if you're a student or if you're an adult or student who's been vaccinated, then you can be unmasked. If you haven't been vaccinated or you have underlying health concerns, then be masked. What we're also going to do, kind of in addition to that, because we do have, aerosols and all sorts of concerns in addition to that, we're going to be doing as much as we can outside. We're going to have limited indoor rehearsals. When we do have indoor rehearsals, they will be spread out. Brass will have the puppy pads where they'll be emptying the water valves into the puppy pads. We do have bell covers and all of those mitigation protocols available as well. We're not going to be eating food indoors as much as possible, or if we do, we'll split into small groups and be distanced. Just to be honest with you, we don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. Things could, and I hope they do, get better. Hopefully the vaccination rates improve. Hopefully things start getting back to normal, but we just don't know. So what we're going to be doing is watching the mitigation recommendations every day. We're going to be talking to our county and district health officials and just doing everything that we can to do the right thing. Luckily, we have a lot more knowledge about what works and what doesn't now than we did last year. And just know that we are working as hard as we can to ensure the health and safety of everybody in the band. That's the number one priority, more than anything. Right. Let's see. Okay, so kind of speaking about COVID, getting back to normal as much as we can. Last year we switched learning modes 5 times. Your working modes, I'm sure what you do at home, parents have changed many times. Things have been very difficult, and we've had to be flexible. We've had to roll with the punches, and there's a lot of things that have been out of our control. But what we can control is what we do. So, as far as the band calendar and making it to marching band camp and making it to ensembles and making it to rehearsals and performances, those are things that we do know, and those are things that we can plan for. So I ask, in the last year and a half, when we first switched to the learning mode to all online in 2020, and grades were optional, class was basically optional, and then we got back into the year last year, and it's like, okay, we can do, if you're comfortable, you can come to band. If not, you can stay at home. All of those things. Now we're starting to try to get back into the normal mode, and we're going to kind of expect that everybody is here for as much as possible. So that might be a decision that you might have to make. Do I feel comfortable coming to every marching band rehearsal? Do I feel comfortable coming to football games, basketball games, whatever it is? Because as you know, whether you're in jazz band or concert band or marching band, it relies heavily on the team spirit and the team atmosphere and everybody contributing. And it's really, really hard to teach marching band or jazz band or concert band if people are gone. Of course, I understand if you are sick or you have an excused illness or absent or a family wedding, this, that, and the other. But last year we kind of noticed that there were a lot of absences, and to be fair, that's just to be expected, right? So now that we move forward, we're going to say, this is an elective, but you've chosen to be in this elective, and we really need the commitment of everybody. So to make it to every marching band rehearsal, to make it to every performance, because if we have a big marching competition and someone just decides, I don't know anymore, I'm just going to wait, I'm going to hold back, then there's going to be a hole, and all of a sudden that affects the whole group. All right. And again, those of you who know me, I can be very flexible. And I want to be flexible, and I want to be sensitive to the changes and the comfortability of being in school. Some of us I'm still having to learn, how to do my job over again in some ways with the new changes that we've had. Now I'm live streaming everything I do. So let's all just kind of be together and try to commit to the spirit of the group and try to commit to being part of the band. And really, it's an amazing group when we're able to do everything that we can do. Just a little bit more about my philosophy, and then I'll stop rambling. But, one of my favorite things that I say is our philosophy is band and, right? So you can be in band and cross country. You can be in band and Boy Scouts. You can be in band and other activities, soccer. We have varsity football players. We have just about every varsity sport represented, I think. So we like to work with you, and we like to do those things, but that's going to take some prioritizing. That's going to take some, figuring out how can we make this work. Please communicate with me. Some of the parents already, freshman parents, have communicated to say, hey, my daughter is in this activity and this conflicts with this date. Thank you. I would be happy to work with you and say, okay, well, maybe you can come to this part of it and not the other. All right, rather than just not showing up and not telling me about it and say, oh yeah, sorry, we were out of town. So that really helps me as a band director to know who's going to be there and when. And so I really appreciate that communication. Let's see. And I think, band is a fun thing to do. One of the things we preach is a family atmosphere. We've had some students who have gotten really sick, and one of them we just unfortunately lost this past year, Logan Lowry. She passed away from cancer. And in the past several years, the band has been a big area of support for her. Those of you who were around a few years ago, on Christmas Eve, we marched up the street to her house and gave her a gift. The band just performed at her celebration of life, and the jazz combo played with that. So you have this great area of support. That is my favorite thing about teaching, about teaching band and doing what I do, is all the great relationships that we make. The students have a place to belong. They have a place to be. They have a place to make music and make friends. And that's just a really, really cool thing. And I think, as we move forward, if we keep that in mind, we're going to come through with this whole thing on the other side and be a lot better for it. So I think that's about it. Oh yeah, there's another thing on this called London. Do you guys see that? So that I just got an email from the travel company yesterday with an offer for London. It's not a contract or anything like that. So those of you who were not here 2 years ago, we took the band to Italy, to Rome, and we marched in the New Year's parade. Is that 3 years ago now? Wow. So time flies. Yeah, so it would have been 18 to 19 then. Yeah, so we took the marching band, the concert band, and the jazz band, all three groups. There about 115 people with sponsors and chaperones and all of that stuff. And we flew all the way over to Rome. We performed in the Rome New Year's Day parade in front of 250,000 people and more watching on TV. The jazz band performed and the concert band performed at the National Art Museum. We got to see all the big sites, the Colosseum, all of those great things. And we traveled to Assisi to see that. Those sites, and then and just a lot of wonderful, wonderful memories going back to the, the purpose of band being a family and creating memories together. So the same company called Destination Events, they actually started the New Year's Parade in London 40 years ago. That's who we went through, and that's who we'd like to go through again. So if you look on the back, we're looking at not this year, but the next year, 22, 23. All the bands again. The 27th of December through January 3rd of 2023. We would have an opportunity to perform the London New Year's Parade, the London, which is pretty much this where the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra plays, similar to Carnegie Hall or something like that, the Westminster Central Hall, and more. Tours of West End City, the Tower of London, a boat trip on the River Thames, the Windsor Castle, Oxford. And some really, really cool opportunities there. The package includes all airfare, 6 nights in a hotel, all ground transportation, local guides, security. Also, they pay to ship all of our luggage and instruments over there ahead of time. Everything is fully insured. It's a really, really good value. It is a little expensive at about $3,500. But that's why we start talking about it now. So we'll be thinking about that and kind of polling everybody and seeing, what the interest is. I also want to be sensitive to, COVID and how that's changed our travel and our economy and our pocketbooks, honestly. So I'll make sure that we, not just, okay, here we go, we're doing this now. I want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable in doing that and as many people as possible can go. We'll start asking for deposits in November. It's a $200 deposit, and then I think the schedule is like another $800 payment a few months later, then a $400, then a $400, then the balance later on. So it is a financial commitment, but those of you students who went on the Italy trip, it was an amazing trip. I mean, it was life-changing for many, many students. It was an incredible experience for us, for the band program. And it's something that we're really looking forward to. So just a little food for thought there. All right. Okay. Now I'm sure I've missed something, and I want to get over here and read the chat because it looks like we've got a couple questions. So let me do that really quick, and then think about any questions that you might have, and then I'll answer some. Someone apologized for a weird name that they had on there. But then, yeah, so, and another person said a recent email came out that said that the exhibition was on August 4th. That might have been from a previous year. So the exhibition is on the last day of marching camp when the marching band does that, okay? Kat, question? So the question was, will they go home before the end of camp and the exhibition, which starts at 6? Most likely, yeah, because we usually end a little bit early that day. But if there's a thing about rides or things like that, we can keep them at school. So we will have probably about an hour and a half. It's only the second time we've done it this way. The last time got rained out and we had to do it in the gym. So this is kind of new. Band shirts. They'll wear band shirts for the attire for that. Yeah, Crystal? Yes, thank you so much. So if you were a returning student, if you were a freshman last year during 2020, we really didn't have a lot of a marching band season, right? So we are hoping that you can come to our beginning marching camp and kind of reintroduce the skills that you learned, in little bitty doses last year. So yes, thank you. So freshmen and sophomores will be at our new member camp. Let's see. question here. Yes, absolutely. So she asked if we had a list of dates and competitions and all of that stuff. We do have a calendar, and I made a new calendar. So if you are a veteran and you've been looking at the same SME band calendar for the last 4 years or so, it's a different calendar now. I've duplicated everything and I've left the old calendar up, but I'm not going to be updating it anymore. So I've sent out the new calendar, and it's also on the website, and it's also in the band app. And so, but I will be sending out lists of performances and all that. So that's the main way to see what is happening and when things are happening is the band calendar on the website. And I have most of the first semester. I have all the first semester on the new calendar. I don't have the second semester yet, but I will soon. Yes, all the way in the back. Oh, you're testing my memory. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to look. So let's see. Other section leader. Well, for percussion, we have Evan Broadus, we have Noah Gould, Darwin Seaver, and Carson Welch. And then for flute, we have Wyatt, and then we have Hannah Winter. Is there another flute section leader? Wyatt and Hannah. Anna, who are your other section leaders? Right. Zach Torkelson and Anna. And then saxophones, we have Jack Phillips, Alec Pace. Well, you're a section leader in my book. Who else Sean Reed is our tenor sax section leader, and then we have another alto too, don't we? Caleb Gilmore, yeah, and he couldn't be here tonight too. And then trombone, low brass, we have Andrew Kim. And then we have for mellophones, we have Henry Haynes. Trumpet, we have Lily Rogers, we have Mason Winter, and Chris Alka. And of course, how could I forget Aiden? Aiden Torkelson also on trombone. I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry. So, thank you for the pop quiz, Casey. I appreciate that. Let's see, we have a question up front? You own those. Yep. She asked if the shoes were rentals or do you own those? You own them. You can wear them. Actually, a lot of students wear them for concert wear. And that's another thing, if you're wondering, well, do we have tuxedos? Do we have dresses? All of that stuff. What we're going to be doing, we transitioned to this a couple of years ago, is concert black. So if for concert band, symphonic band, you'll be wearing black slacks, black button down. The philosophy there is just to kind of minimize the look on stage, to be more uniform, to make it more about the music and being together rather than, somebody wearing pink socks or whatever. We can be more individualistic in other ways. Question? Some of them are labeled, yes, but we found that when we do label them at the beginning of the Sharpie wears off over time, and then all of a sudden you have unaccounted for shoes. So I bet Nate's are there. Yes. Great question. Yes. So she asked when school starts, when do they arrive for band? So we give them that first week, and I think upperclassmen just go on the Friday, right? And then we go the next week. So we have what we happily call 0 hour, and that rehearsal starts at 7 a.m. And I know everybody gasps, and it's like, oh my God. It really is not as bad as you think it is. At first, with the first few weeks, you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? But you get to get up early. If you're driving, you get a great parking spot. Well, they have numbered spots now, don't they? So how else can I sell this? No, it's just the way the marching band world works. We need that extra rehearsal time, and it's very important. And honestly, it's only from middle of August through middle of October, and then we're good. And so it's just a little bit of time. Yeah, it does kind of, it hurts a little bit, even for me, because I try to get here by, 6:15 every day during marching band. So you'll be very tired at the end of the day, but it's worth it. We get a lot of extra work in. Another one, and I'm glad, that's a really good question. We also have some evening rehearsals. They are going to be on Thursdays. Those are also on the band calendar. We only have a few of them because unfortunately we have a few Thursday night games, football games as well. I think we have 2 Fridays and 2 Thursdays. So go ahead and look at the band calendar on that as well. But we will have a couple, probably 3 or 4 Thursday night rehearsals from 6 to 8 p.m. and then a couple Tuesday night rehearsals from 6 to 8 p.m. I'll make sure that we communicate that with everybody as well. Gwen? So Gwen asked what festivals we're doing this year. We are doing, we always have a Shawnee Mission marching exhibition that we do. All 5 Shawnee Mission high schools meet, and that's kind of an exhibition for us. Then we also have on the schedule, and why I say on the schedule is we have the Kansas KBA Marching Championships, Kansas Bandmasters Association Marching Championships. That's at the end of October, I think October 27th or something like that, around that time. And then we also have on the schedule the Olathe Marching Invitational, which is a great festival. It's a new festival. It's also the same day as Homecoming. So I'm thinking we may need to reschedule that festival, and we've kind of been going back to the drawing board on that one. So we had the marching festivals, so the KBA, and the KBA used to be in Topeka, now it's in Lawrence at KU, which is a pretty cool festival, a big venue. Parking's not the greatest, but we always have fun. And those are big, long commitments, a full Saturday, so we'll make sure that we get that schedule out to you as well. The Thursday rehearsals, so those will be in the evening at between 6 and 8 p.m., and that's a great question. So we have the 7 a.m. rehearsals every day but Thursday. So we don't have, and basically any day that we have band in the schedule during the day, we have 7 a.m. rehearsals. So on the days where we have late start, all of that, we don't do the 7 a.m. rehearsals. Yes, Anna. Yes. And I think they've switched the odd and even blocks. So Monday's going to be, don't quote me on this. Do you know, Mrs. Teeley? Yeah, so Mondays we have all 7 periods, and I think we go to even on Tuesdays, odd on Wednesdays, even classes on Thursdays, and then 7 period on Fridays. I don't remember. They've changed it 15 times. So I apologize. I don't know. But I'll find out. Yes. They did, but then that's going away, and then the late start's going to happen again. Yeah. The merry-go-round. It's a merry-go-round of scheduling. Fedra, you have a question? Yeah, so she's asking if they're wanting to chaperone for London, how do we connect? What do we talk about? We'll have a separate meeting, and we'll have an application process for that as well. So I just kind of wanted to throw London out there to kind of get people excited and all of that. So, but I'll be sending separate emails out. We also have opportunities for you to volunteer, trip coordinator, trip treasurer. As you know, it's quite an undertaking moving a band from Prairie Village to London or Rome. There's a lot of things involved, and the great thing is that we learned a lot from the Italy trip and took a lot of notes, so it'll be a lot more smooth this time around. Another thing I just thought of for those of you who are also in other ensembles, some things to think about. Let's say you're in a jazz band. Those groups meet every day in the schedule, and then we will be going to jazz festivals as well. So we go to the Baker University Jazz Festival in Baldwin City on it's usually in November, and then we do a couple jazz festivals in the spring as well. usually in March and April as well. And then we have a big jazz night in April. So we have a lot of performance opportunities. Another thing that you might be thinking about is pit orchestra for the musical. I don't remember off the top of my head what that is right now. Anna, do you know? The Wedding Singer, yeah. So it's kind of rock bandish, 80s rock band type of stuff is the musical for next year. So, the band performs in a lot of things. I think the most fun that we have is anytime we're performing. But, the pep band is a lot of fun. The marching band at football games is a lot of fun. Going to jazz festivals, we have a really good time, and we have a lot of things to do and be involved in. And we have a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of things at East you can be involved in, and we really appreciate you being involved in band. So, any other questions? Yes. Correct. Just marching band. Yep. That's right. Yes. Okay, well, if you have any other questions you want to talk with me individually, I'll be here. The band boosters that are here, maybe we could come down. Mrs. Teeley's here. Section leaders, you want to come up front too a little bit, and if you're there, raise your hands, come up to the front, and then if you're a student in one of these students' section, you can join as well. That's right. Anybody can be a band booster. Yes, that's correct. You have a schedule? Okay, so if you want to know the schedule, you can come in too. Yep. All right. Thank you all very much. Great to see everybody. Thank you. Okay. No, you're fine. You're fine. Thank you. Thank you.